Hello students, good morning. Welcome to the mobile computing class. Today lecture number 7. Before going to start lecture number 7, just we recall what we discussed in the past session. That is lecture number 6. So here in the lecture number 6 we discussed about some of the data services provided by the GSM architecture. GSM. So the data services are HSCSD and GPRS. So what happened there in HSCSD is the high speed circuit switched data. So it transmits the signals by combining multiple channels to increase the bandwidth. So but here HSCSD is the wide communication channel. That is the one of the drawback of HSCSD. The HSCSD, so data will be transmitted with a speed of 9.6 kilobytes per second. To overcome this problem, the ETSI, European Telecommunication Standard Institute, developed a transmission model that is called GPRS, General Packet Radio Service. General Packet Radio Service. Here in the General Packet Radio Service, data is transmitted in the form of packets. So in the way of radio waves, multiple users are accessing those packets from the same area itself. General Packet Radio System is also known as GSM IP. So Global System Mobile Communication Internet Protocol. So GPRS is also called as GSM IP, Global System Mobile Communication Internet Protocol. So who owns GPRS? ETSI, European Telecommunication Standard Institute, along with the American National Standard Institute, ANSI. So these are some of the key features we already discussed. Always online feature, upgrade to existing system, internal part of future generation systems. So these are some of the goals: open architecture, consistent IP service, same infrastructure for different air interfaces, integrated telephony and internet infrastructure, leverage industry in investment in IP. So what are the benefits of GPRS? Higher data rate and easy billing. Applications. Before going to discuss about the applications, we discussed mobility, immediacy, and localization. These are the characteristics of GPRS. Characteristics of GPRS. By depending on these characteristics, they developed some applications. So applications are categorized into two types: corporation and consumer. Corporation level and the consumer level. So these are some of the applications of GPRS: communications, value-added services, e-commerce, location-based applications, advertising. So it's what we discussed in the last session. Applications, goals, key features, who owns GPRS, what is the need for GPRS. So the need for GPRS is the one of the data service of GSM architecture, Global System for Mobile Communication. In Global System for Mobile Communication, there are two data services. One is HSCSD. HSCSD is the wide communication channel. So to overcome the drawbacks of HSCSD, that is so downlink speed is higher than the uplink speed, and this is the wide communication channel. So there are some of the drawbacks are there for the HSDSD high speed circuit switch data. To overcome these problems, so they invented GPRS, General Packet Radio Service. GPRS is the second data service of GSM. So here in the GPRS, data is transmitted in the way of packets. At a time, multiple users can access the packets from one location. Now, here in the lecture 7, exclusively we discuss GPRS architecture only. So why? Because how the GSM architecture is important in the unit 1. Likewise, here also GPRS architecture is a very most important one in unit number 1. A question paper mostly consisting of either GSM architecture or GPRS architecture in the essay number 1. So GPRS architecture. GPRS architecture works on the same procedure like GSM network. So how the GSM network works, same like here GPRS is also works, but has additional entities that allows packet data transmission. There we are using in the GSM architecture, so MS, BTS, BSS, BSC, MSC, so VLR, HLR. So what are the terminology we discussed there? What are the parts there in the GSM system? Likewise here also, which is similar to the GSM architecture, but an additional entities that allow packet data transmission. This data network overlaps a second generation GSM network, providing packet data transport at the rate of 9.6 to 171 kbps. So the transport at the rate from 9.6 to 171 kbps. So in the HSDC, previously we discussed it in the HSDC 9.6. So here in the GPRS 9.62, there is a possibility of 171 kbps. Along with the packet data transport, the GSM network accommodates multiple users to share the same air interface resources concurrently. This is the main advantage of the GPRS architecture. The main advantage is multiple users to share the same air interface resource concurrently. For example, n number of people are there in one location there in Guntur. All they required to move to some of the different locations. They want to search by using a GPRS tracker. There is a possibility these n number of people at a time using the channel to access the data. So someone wants to move to Mangalagiri, someone wants to move to Chelkilurpeta, someone wants to move to the Nasravapeta, someone wants to move to Satinpalli. So the people at one location there in Guntur, one particular center, n number of users are there. They want to search for different locations. They want to transmit data using the same interface. So that is possible here in the GPRS. That is the main advantage of GPRS. That is multiple users to share the same air interface resource connectivity. So the data is transmitted in the way of packet transmissions here in the GPRS. So this is the basic architecture diagram for GPRS. So which is a slight similar to the GSM. So GSM consisting of mobile station to the BTS, base transceiver station. So base transceiver station to the BSC, base station controller. So which is under one radio cell. So that is BSS, base station subsystem. So these base station subsystem, BSC is connected to the MSC. So there in the GSM architecture, MSC plays the major role. Mobile Service Switching Center, which places the major role in the GSM architecture. If a mobile station wants to move from one location to the another location, how the signal handovering will be done? Signal handovering will be done that we discussed in the handover management, intra cell and intra BSC to inter MSC, and inter MSC possible, and intra cell and inter cell and intra BSC. There are the four possibility ways we discussed in the handover management functions. We already discussed that in the handover management function in the lecture number 5. here also in the GPRS architecture, which is slightly similar to the GSM, but some additional nodes are added here, that is SGSN and GGSN. SGSN node and GGSN node, serving node and gateway node. Simply we call it as gateway node and serving node. These two additional nodes are added here in the GPRS. So why what is the functionalities of these nodes that we discussed in the next slide? Okay, the basic thing is mobile station wants to communicating with public domain network (PDN). Mobile station, the data has to be multiple users want to access from one particular location public domain network. So this is the architecture. Mobile station to the base station subsystem by using UM interface. By using UM interface, the connection is established between mobile station to BSS, base station subsystem UM interface. From base station subsystem to the SDSN serving node. So that is a GB interface. By using GB interface, connection is established between base station subsystem to serving node. From serving node to the gateway node, serving node to the gateway node. So by using a GN interface. So we already discussed it. In the GSM architecture, the major role is played by MSC, Mobile Service Switching Center. So, what is the responsibilities of Mobile Service Switching Center is identifying the destination address, uh, note down the all transportation paths, that is from mobile station moving from one location to another location. That address is stored there in mobile switching center. If a mobile station wants to move from one location to another location, the destination identification will be done by the MSC. So but here in the GPRS architecture, MSC just only plays a limited role. The major role is played by the SGSN and GGSN nodes. Main role is played by SGSN and GGSN. So visitor location register, equipment identity register, and home location register, these all are similar to the GSM architecture. In the GSM architecture, these HLR, EIR and VLR are connecting to the MSC only. So if you recall the GSM architecture, home location register, visitor location register and equipment identity register, all these three registers are connected to only MSC, Mobile Service Switching Center. But here only small responsibility is played by Mobile Switching Service Center. The main responsibility is placed by SGSN and GGSN. So the home location register is connected to SGSN serving node and as well as gateway node. So and equipment identity register is connecting to serving node. So VLR is connecting to via MSC to SGSN. So this belongs to one serving node range. So likewise, if you are moving to another serving node, there again another MSC and another VLR, another EIR, another HLR is connecting to this serving node. The basic architecture for GPRS system: mobile station to the base service subsystem, base station subsystem, and SGSN serving node, and as well as gateway node to the public domain network. But in the GSM architecture, all these HLR, EIR, VLR are connected to the MSC. Why? Because MSC plays the major role in the GSM architecture. But here MSC played a minimum role. The maximum role is played by SGSN and GGSN. Rather than the GGSN, SGSN is the key function here in the GPRS architecture. So the EIR, HLR and VLR connecting to the SGSN. EIR, equipment identity register, and HLR is directly connected to the SGSN, and VLR is connecting to via MSC. Connected via MSC. This is the another way of diagram that what we discussed in the previous slide. Packet switched data signaling to the MSC, MSC to the BSS, so to the SGSN serving node, internal backbone, GGSN, gateway node, and IP network. This is the GPRS authentication, HLR, and EIR, equipment identity register, home location register, and authentication. So if you observe the dotted lines, so thick dotted lines are for circuit switched GSM. This one. And thin lines for signaling, how the signal is transmitted. And a line which represents packet switched data and signaling. So a GPRS architecture consisting of MS, BSS, SGSN, GGSN, serving node, gateway node, MSC, VLR, EIR, HLR, along with the backbone, internal backbone. Now, GPRS base station subsystem, BSS. BSS. Each BSC requires the installation of one or more packet control units, that is PCOs, and a software upgrade. Each BSC requires the installation of one or more packet control units. These packet control units provides a physical and logical data interface to the base station subsystem for packet data traffic. The BTS can also require a software upgrade, but typically does not require hardware enhancements. We already discussed in the benefits of GPRS. No need to update the features of the system. So it is an add-on feature for a mobile system. So no need to change the entire system. So just it is the add-on feature. Already a mobile phone consisting of 10 features. If you added that is the 11th feature for a mobile system. Likewise, the BTS can also require a software upgrade, but typically does not require hardware enhancement. When either voice or data traffic is originated at the subscriber mobiles, it is transported over the air interface to the BTS, and from the BTS to the BSC in the same way as the standard GSM call. So how in the GSM call data is transmitted, likewise here also from MS to the BTS, BTS to the BSC. So same way the connecting channel is acted like in the GSM. Now, however, at the output of the BSC, the traffic is separated. Voice is sent to the mobile switching center. Same, which is like a GSM architecture from first mobile station to the base transceiver station to the base station controller to the mobile switching center. So MS to the BTS, BTS to the BSC, BSC to the MSC. Likewise, here also same path is traveled. At the output of the BSC, the traffic is separated, voice is sent to the mobile switching center for a standard GSM, and data is spent to the new device called SGSN. We already discussed it in the diagram. So MSC just played a minimum role here. The major role is played by SGSN, and data is sent to the new device that is called the SGSN via the PCU over a frame relay interface. So these are the supporting nodes. So there in the GSM architecture, the major role is played by MSC. Rather than the MSC, here some other supporting nodes are there. So those supporting nodes are, one is GGSM, Gateway GPRS Support Node. Second one is SGSN, Serving GPRS Support Node. Gateway GPRS Support Node. Serving GPRS support node. These are the additional nodes are used in the GPRS system rather than the GSM. So in the GSM system, entire the network transmission is done by the MSC. But here same mobile station to the BTS, BTS to the BSC, BSC to the MSC. But along with MSC, here some additional nodes, serving node and gateway nodes. Two nodes are additionally added in the GPRS architecture. Gateway and serving nodes. So what is the role of gateway node here? The gateway GPRS support node acts as an interface and a router to external networks. It contains routing information for GPRS mobiles, which is used to tunnel packets through the IP-based internal backbone to the correct serving GPRS support node. So the gateway GPRS support node acts as an interface and a router to external networks, which is acting as a router, so to identifying the path. So the GGSN also collecting charging information connected to the use of the external data networks and can act as a packet filter for incoming traffic. So what is the charge? How much time it is utilized? We already discussed. There is a difference between HSCSD and GPRS. In the HSCSD, so how much amount of time it is connected? So the charging, the billing is done for entire time. But coming to the GPRS, so how much amount of data is transmitted, depending upon the data, it is charged. Now, serving GPRS support node. So the serving GPRS support node is responsible for authentication of GPRS mobiles, registrations of mobiles in the network. Simply we are called it as it is the stored data that is responsible for authentication of GPRS mobiles. The serving GPRS support node is responsible for authentication of GPRS mobiles, registration of mobiles in the network, mobility management, and collecting information on charging for the users of the air interface. The charging information is stored here, and authentication is the main responsibility of this serving node. So the network path identification, destination identification, so path establishment, that work will be done by the GGSN. Next, internal backbone. The internal backbone is an IP-based network used to carry packets between different GSNs. Tunneling is used between SGSNs and GGSNs. So the internal backbone does not need any information about domains outside the GPRS network. Signaling from a GSN to a MSC is the main work done by the internal backbone. The signaling from a GSN to a MSC and HLR or EIR is done using a SS7 protocol based. That is the main responsibility done by the internal backbone. So it is an IP based network used to carry packets between different GSNs. So one GSN to the another GSN, packet is transmitted by using this internal backbone. And the next one is routing area. GPRS introduces the concept of a routing area. This concept is similar to location area in GSM. So in GSM, VLR, HLR, one user moves from one location to the another location. If he belongs to the same tower, his data is there in the home location register. He is the new one for that particular tower. His data is stored in the visitor location register. So there is a certain location area is there in the GSM. Likewise, the location area in the GSM, here there is a concept that is called routing area. In this routing area, except that it generally contains fewer calls, fewer cells, because routing areas are smaller than location areas. Routing areas are smaller than the location areas. In the GSM, there is a huge amount of location under one tower, under one MSC, under one BSC. There is a huge amount of area it is covered. But here, a small amount of area for routing here in the GPRS. Less radio resources are used while broadcasting a page message. GPRS protocol stack. So before going to the GPRS protocol stack, once again I am repeating, GSM architecture, GPRS architecture, it works on the same procedure like GSM network, but has additional entities that allow packet data transmission. So GPRS is the main principle of GPRS is packet data transmission. So that is the advantage of GPRS rather than the HSCSD. The HSCSD, that is the wired communication channel. GPRS is the wireless communication channel. In the wireless communication, mainly depending on the packet data transmission. So multiple users to share the same air interface resources concurrently. But in the HSCSD, there is a possibility of 9.6. Here from 9.6 to 171 kbps. So the connection is done in this manner. Mobile station to BTS, BTS to BSC, BSC to the MSC. So MSC to the BSS to the SGSN, GGSN. So there the networking work entirely will done by the MSC there in the GSM. But here the responsibilities are done by SGSN and GGSN to the public domain network. These are the interfaces. MS to the BSS, there is a UM interface. BSS to the SGSN, there is a GB interface. SGSN to GGSN, there is a GN interface. Now, GPRS protocol stack. The flow of GPRS protocol stack and end-to-end message from mobile station to the GGSN is displayed in the next slide. GTP is the protocol used between the SGSN and GGSN using the GN interface. This is the layer 3 tunneling protocol. This is the diagram for GPRS protocol architecture, which is slightly similar to the GSM protocol architecture. Okay, first mobile station to the base station subsystem to the serving GPRS system, serving GPRS system to the serving GPRS node to the gateway GPRS node, serving node, gateway node, base station subsystem, mobile station. Here in the mobile station, we use in the mobile station, so application, internet protocol, SNDCP, the logical link control and radio layers, these belongs to mobile station. So between the mobile station to base station subsystem, the interface used is called UM interface. So base station subsystem consisting of logical link control relay, radio layers and lower layers. So between BSS and serving node, there is an interface called GB. Interface called GB. Here in the SGSN, so some of the protocols, SNDCP, LLC, lower layers, again lower layers, Internet Protocol, UDP, user data graph protocols, and GTP. These protocols are using in the SGSN. From SGSN to the GGSN, there is an interface called GN is used. GN interface between SGSN and GGSN, GB interface in between BSS and SGSN, and UM interface between MS and BSS. So these are the protocols used in GGSN: IP, GTP, UDP, IP, and some of the lower layers are there in the GGSN protocol stack. This is like similar to the GSM protocol stack. The process that takes place in the application looks like a normal IP subnetwork for the users both inside and outside the network. The vital thing that needs attention is the application communicates via standard IP that is carried through the GPRS network and out through the gateway GPRS. Here the packets that are mobile between the GGSN and the SGSN using the GPRS tunneling protocol. This way, the IP address located on the external side of the GPRS network it do not have a deal with the internal backbone. UDP and IP are run by GTP. Here the two, UDP and IP. So why we are using UDP here? So we already discussed. So GPRS is the wireless communication. So you guys all studied there in network. So the TCP where we are using TCP protocol, where we have to be using UDP protocol, where we have to be using IP protocol. This is the wireless communication. For that purpose, we are using UDP protocol. These two UDP and IP protocols are run by GTP. Okay, this is about GPRS protocol stack. Now, mobile and handheld devices. Last concept, The unit number 1, mobile and handheld devices. The mobile phones are handheld. What is meant by handheld? Nothing but mobile devices, easy to carry. Those devices are called handheld devices like laptops, tablets, or PDUs, mobile phones. All these are belongs to the handheld devices, easy to carry. Mobile phones are handheld mobile devices with large functionalities. Uh, what is the difference between handheld devices and fixed devices? So handheld devices are easy to carry. Fixed devices are, it is a bit difficult to move from one location to the another location. But these handheld devices are performing functionalities similarly, and some of the more functionalities than the fixed devices. Each mobile device essentially includes a computer. So every mobile phone or tablet or PDUs or laptops, whatever it may be, every mobile device essentially includes a computer. Most mobile phones are now smartphones which communicates with other phones using a cellular service providers network. So nowadays we are using mobile phones. Every phone is a smartphone. Smartphones which communicate with other phones using a cellular service providers network. The smartphones has multimedia features like video and audio, digital music players, iPods, Bluetooth, camera, etc. All these facilities are provided in these handheld devices. Mobile and handheld devices are using operating system software that provides interfaces, perform allocation and management functions, and act as platform for running the increasingly sophisticated software that are created for mobile computing devices. These are the operating system. If you guys are observing right now, then an operating systems are specially designed for the mobile devices. In our systems, we are using Windows XP, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10. These are specially designed for some of the systems. And for if you observe iPhones, if you observe some other phones, they are using Android operating systems. Some other phones designed by using Windows operating systems. So these operating systems, the versions of upgraded operating systems in the Android, so these are specially designed for these mobile devices running in the increasingly sophisticated software that are created for mobile computing. These some of the operating systems are specially designed for these mobile devices. These operating systems are using middleware for enabling the functions of the devices. We already discussing in the mobile computing architecture. What is the responsibility of middleware? So the responsibility of middleware is identifying the nearby devices by using Bluetooth for connecting hotspots like that. So that is the responsibility of middleware function. The operating system software for mobile devices are Windows CE based devices, Mac OS 4 based devices, example Apple iPhones, and Symbian OS based devices. These are the some of the operating system softwares for mobile devices: Windows CE based and Mac OS and Symbian OS based devices. Is the desktop and personal computers, laptops, tablet PCs, and PDAs, personal digital assessments, and smartphones, cellular phones, desktops, laptops, PDAs, and smartphones. Every device required operating system. Every device required operating system. Uh, Along with the operating system, it required the middleware system. It required the protocols, network protocols. So rather than the desktop computers, these laptops, PDAs, and smartphones belong to the handheld devices that is easy to move and easy to carry from one location to the another location. We can easily uh, carry these devices. These are specially designed. So every these handheld device consisting of computer features like gaming features. Right now, which is very much possible to using some of the applications what we are using in mobile. Most probably we can use those applications by using mobile also, by using PDA also, by using laptop also. So these mobile devices are specially designed for users, that is mobile computing and mobile communication is established between one device to another device by using these movable devices. This is the end of unit number 1. The last concept, mobile and handheld devices. So mobile devices means movable device. These are specially designed, and by using some special operating systems are designed for these movable devices. So those operating systems are Windows CE based devices, Mac OS 4 based devices, Symbian OS based devices. That is the end of unit number 1. In the next video, we repeat unit number 1 from part 1 to part 7. Part 1 to part 7. Thank you very much.